This team was never meant to play against this team, but somehow they did, and they won. Well, that's right, every single match in the history of football has been played between two teams except for this one, the 1980 Copa del Rey Final. The final saw Real Madrid take on, well, Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu in front of a crowd of 65,000 people. And honestly, after looking into this match, the best way that I can describe it is that it is simply a one-of-one. A match that was never supposed to take place in the first place, and that will never happen again. A true Mona Lisa. And how fitting should it be that the greatest team in football beats Leonardo da Vinci? Now I know this sounds ridiculous, but bear with me. By the end of this video, you'll come to see number 1, how this is possible in the first place. Number 2, why it will never happen again. And number 3, just how insane it is. So I have a confession, I lied. Real Madrid didn't necessarily play against Real Madrid per se. I mean, that would be insane. They did, however, play against Real Madrid Castilla, otherwise known as the reserve team of Real Madrid. What is a reserve team, you say? Well, a reserve team is usually composed of players that are under contract to a club but don't play any matches for the senior team. Which is why when 16-year-old wonder kid Martin Odegaard signed for Real Madrid, he was able to train for the first team while playing for Castilla, who just so happened to be managed by Zinedine Zidane at the time. Clearly, only one of those made it to the senior squad. So why would it be possible for the senior team to play against a reserve team in the first place? This is possible for 2 reasons. The first is that in Spain, reserve teams play in the exact same football pyramid as their senior squad. This is beneficial for many reasons, such as gaining experience and also playing in more competitive matches. Pep Guardiola has come out numerous times saying he is a big fan of the system. The only restriction being that the reserve team always needs to play 1 division lower than the senior squad. Ultimately, this means we'll never see a domestic league match between a senior squad and a reserve team. The second and the more important reason for this video is that before 1991, reserve teams were treated as a separate entity to some extent. Most importantly, they were eligible for cup competitions such as the Copa del Rey. So, was it possible for this match to happen? Yes. But should it have been? Absolutely not. Now this is where it gets ridiculous. Strap in, because I think this is the best football story that can potentially rival Leicester City's Premier League win. The 1980 Copa del Rey saw a total of 226 Spanish sides participate, with Castilla being only one of 18 reserve sides to partake in that season's competition. And by the time Castilla made it to the 4th round of the competition, they already achieved something any reserve side would be absolutely proud of, knocking out 3 senior squads along the way, completely dismantling the first 2 senior sides 10-2 and 5-1 on aggregate, before beating Racing Santander 3-1 on aggregate. The 4th round is where Castilla would meet their first La Liga opponent in Hercules, where many people understandably would expect them to be knocked out of the competition, especially after suffering a 4-1 defeat in the first leg. And seeing that Los Blancos had already automatically qualified for the next round, thousands of Real Madrid fans came out to support their kids with zero expectation of them making it through to the next round. But following a shocking turn of events in the opening 30 minutes, a brace from Paco put Castilla back into the tie, needing just 1 more goal to make it level on aggregate. And to the surprise of many people still in the stadium, Castilla managed to find the equalizer in the dying moments of the game. On to extra time, and Castilla managed to do the miraculous and found the winner in extra time to beat their first La Liga opponent. And it didn't end there. Castilla managed to claim their second victim from La Liga that season, beating Atletico Bilbao 2-1 on aggregate, and more impressively doing it away from home. Next up, the quarterfinals. Surely at this point, this is where Castilla's fairy tale cup round comes to an end, especially since they were drawn against La Liga leaders Real Sociedad. Sociedad, not wanting to underestimate these flying youngsters, they managed to put in a solid performance and claimed a 2-1 win in the first leg. Then, quite remarkably, Castilla managed to do something their senior side had not done that season and beat Real Sociedad. That season, Los Blancos lost 4-0 away from home and only managed a 2-2 draw at the Santiago Bernabeu. 2 goals from Paco and Sanchez Lorenzo, and Castilla have knocked the La Liga leaders out of the Copa del Rey. For me, that is the most impressive result in this entire cup run. It was reported that 100,000 Real Madrid fans came out to support their youngsters against Sociedad. This attendance record surpassed many of the home games for the senior side that season. Despite Real Madrid eventually beating Sociedad to the La Liga title on the final day of the season, many of the Madrid fans were more excited about watching Castilla play. It was a season where the supporting act became the star attraction. And although there was a lot of hatred for Madrid in Spain, there was a lot of respect and admiration shown for the achievements of Castilla that season. On to the semi-finals, and Castilla would be drawn against Sporting Gijón, who would finish 3rd in La Liga that season, whilst Real Madrid were drawn against their local rivals Atletico Madrid, who funnily enough actually requested that Castilla be drawn against Real Madrid in the semi-finals, but ultimately had the request denied. You see, on 2 occasions in that tournament, Castilla were drawn against Real Madrid, but unfortunately had to have their names thrown back into the hat and be redrawn. Only if both the senior squad and the reserve side made it to the final would they be allowed to play against one another. Which is obviously something the organizers never thought would be possible, and looking at historical results, never was. Castilla would go on to beat Sporting Gijón 4-2 on aggregate, knocking out their 4th La Liga side in this tournament, becoming only the 3rd reserve side to make it to the Copa del Rey final in history. Of course, Atletico Madrid would try their best to embarrass the senior Madrid squad and try and knock them out before their reserve side had tasted defeat, but failed to do so as the tie ended 1-1 on aggregate and saw a penalty shootout take place. The penalty shootout followed, and Antonio Guzman's crucial strike hit the woodwork, which would set up this historic final that would never be repeated again. The 1980 Copa del Rey final would be Real Madrid versus Real Madrid. So, who won? The match apparently had a very family feel to it. It was described as a genuinely strange affair, as Jose Antonio Camado put it. We were used to playing together during the week. It was bizarre to play with bubs on a Thursday and in a final on a Sunday. To be honest, no matter the result, Real Madrid had already won the cup. In what could be seen as somewhat of an anticlimax, the senior squad would absolutely blow the reserve side away. Los Blancos were the classic white that has become so synonymous with Real Madrid, while Castilla were decked out in purple and unfortunately fell to a 2-0 deficit at halftime. Andrés Sabado and future Spain coach Vicente Del Bosque added goal number 3 and 4, while Ricardo Alvarez managed to pull one back with 10 minutes remaining, which only provoked the senior squad even more, as they added 2 more goals to seal a 6-1 win over the reserve side. It was kind of a sad way for Castilla's unique and spectacular cup run to come to an end. Luckily for them, their devastation was short-lived, as just after the final whistle, they were able to celebrate with the trophy with their senior squad. A truly unique sight after a cup final. Another reason for the lack of tears would be that because Castilla made the final, they had automatically qualified for next season's Cup Winners' Cup, making them the only reserve side to ever participate in an official UEFA competition. And the legacy of that Castilla side would last long after their European adventure. Alfredo Di Stefano was named manager of Real Madrid shortly thereafter, and inspired by the success of Castilla, he promoted Emilio Butragueño, Rafael Martin Vasquez, Miguel Podeza, Manuel Manchis, and Jose Miguel Gonzalez to the senior squad. The quintet would then go on to become legends at the club, hence the nickname. And there you have it, guys, a genuinely remarkable achievement by Real Madrid Castilla, a match that we'll never see in football again, a true Mona Lisa. I mean, these are the kind of stories that make football the best sport in the world. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe for more. And don't stop there. If you'd like to learn about another historic Copa del Rey final, one that actually had a massive impact on Cristiano Ronaldo's career, then this video is for you. I'll catch you guys in the next one.